All right, we're gonna dive in here, guys. My name is Bob Stewart, and today we're gonna talk about better leads and the platform to close them. We're gonna talk about Brivity. And so, as I dive in here today, I'd introduce you really quick before we kind of move on to our founder. His name is Ben Kinney. Ben has been a real estate agent for about 15 years. He built Brivity. He built it to manage his own business. He had a growing business, and he realized that in order to continue to grow, really without having to spend more time working in his business, that he needed to build something for himself so that he could leverage systems and models for growth. And there's a couple of ways we can grow our business. We could work more, or we could find leverage. And so we're going to talk today about some of the ways that Brivity can help you create leverage through models and systems to help grow your business. Something that I think is different about us than almost every other kind of big platform that you might decide to run your business through is we have no contracts. So, it's never happened that somebody signed up and a month later they're like, yeah, this isn't for me. And it's very rare that people cancel. And I think one of the reasons for that is we win your business every day. Like everybody, James, me, all of the folks on our team, we get up every day with the aim of winning your business because we know we don't have you in a 12-month contract, right? We're not going to pop up 11 months later and be like, hey, Marcia, how's it going? How's that last 11 months been? We should probably get you in order to make sure that you renew your contract. We don't do contracts. So we were built by an agent, Ben Kinney. We continue to be built for agents. Ben has, I don't know what he's up to, 38 expansion teams across the United States that this year in 2020, despite everything going on in our worlds, will still close over 5,000 transactions. We have teams in really small markets like Midland, Texas, and we've got teams in massive markets like Chicago, which means Brivity is operating in a market just like yours. And at least for Ben, it's operating very successfully. Now, we've got thousands of Brivity clients doing this in lots of places all across the United States. And by the way, none of them are on contracts. So we built Brivity with this idea in mind that your business should be, more like a stool than a pogo stick. You need to have multiple streams of leads for your business so that, for example, if something like open houses get shut down in your area, like they're shut down in ours right now, your business doesn't wobble because you've got kind of a solid foundation for it. So this is the lead generation model for Ben Kinney's teams. And then a lot of our Brivity clients, not that they've adopted it necessarily, because when you put something like other on a pie, that covers just about everything, right? But those kind of 5 primary aspects of the lead generation model, working our sphere and our past clients so that we get referrals and repeat business from them, open houses, prospecting, right? Calling people to try to get them interested in our business or our open house, or maybe that's circle prospecting or canceled expireds, right? We've got internet leads as a potential aspect of our business. Now, one day, and hopefully for you guys, that day is already here, but you're going to have listings. And out of those listings are going to come leads, potentially, if you have the systems and the tools in place to make sure that happens. Then everybody has these other buckets, right? You might get agent referrals. Ben's team does radio and television advertising. They do advertising at movie theaters. That might be you work REO business or whatever that other bucket is for you. There's a high likelihood that we've got a tool or 3 that can help you kind of develop that model for yourself. So as we look through Brivity today, we have tools that help us in each one of these different pieces of the pie. Now, this slide is designed to kind of show you guys what you do every day in your business. And I wish this slide was a little bit more chaotic. Josiah, our design guy, makes really beautiful slides because you guys have a chaotic business, right? Any successful real estate professional, you're going to get to this point where the business is chaotic. You've got multiple systems. You log in over here to do this thing, and you log in over there to do that other thing. But each of you is doing all 5 of these things all the time in your business. You're constantly trying to generate more interest, more leads, more contacts. When you're out there generating those things, doing the things you do, hosting open houses, making circle prospecting calls, heck, it could be bumping into somebody at the grocery store. Like ultimately, You're trying to capture them, right? So we can get them into our database. Hopefully we have one of those. It's literally the value of your business long-term is your database. But then we've got to nurture these people. Ultimately, somebody raises their hand from inside of that database who we've been nurturing and says, hey, I'd like to buy, or I'd like to sell, or I'd like to invest in real estate. And we've got to manage the process of that, right? We've got to close that deal ultimately. And that's, that fourth bucket, that's where you guys get paid, right? And then we repeat it. We do it all again. And we're constantly, we've got to follow up with our past clients in our sphere. And a lot of us are doing these different aspects of our business in a bunch of different places, right? We get our leads from over here, and then we nurture them in here, but gosh, not all of our leads get in here, because sometimes when I do open houses, I use this other application to get the leads, and I don't always remember to put them in my database. And oh yeah, I manage my transactions over here on Loop or on a spreadsheet or wherever I do these things. And it is chaotic, okay? So we built the Brivity platform, and the irony of this slide versus this slide is why I said I wish this one was a little bit more chaotic, because your business this is Brivity. And there's a lot going on here, but you guys have a lot going on in your business, right? So as I lay this out, and we're going to talk about kind of the different elements of this, we know that there's traffic out there. Could be somebody coming into your open house. Could be somebody on Facebook who's scrolling, all of a sudden sees, a property that they might be interested in, or is curious about what their house is worth, and we put an ad in front of them. But we know there's traffic. Okay, it's in a lot of places. If we put the right content and messaging in front of that traffic, we can capture them with one of our tools, and we'll talk about these tools. Feed them into your CRM, your database, where we can nurture them. If they're buyers, we might nurture them with listing alerts. If they're sellers, we're going to nurture them with market reports. We've got auto plans, and we'll talk about what an auto plan is as a tool or a system or a model for you to nurture contacts in the database. Ultimately, as we're nurturing these people, the goal is multiple somebodies, many, many, many somebodies will raise their hand in a given month and say, hey, I think I'm ready to sell. I saw what my neighbor's house sold for, or hey, I really like this house you just sent me. I want to go see it this weekend. And ultimately, we get into a transaction, right? That's where we all want to live. Brivity has an amazing transaction management platform. It's actually the genesis of Brivity. Ben originally built Brivity to manage kind of a growing business and the transactions of that growing business, so that every customer in our world would have a repeatable, defined experience with us. Now, at the very end of the day, we all want to be in the green box, right? We all want to be like high-fiving our partner, or high-fiving our spouse, or bringing that special gift home for the kids that we do every time we have a closing. But we want a closing. And the byproduct of that closing is we've got a past client or past clients, right, that we want to stay in touch with, get referrals from, do more business with in the future. And then we have profits potentially, or hopefully anyway, right? That's, I think, why we're all doing this. We have profits that we can invest back into this cycle and kind of start it again. So let's dive in here and let's kind of take a look at some of these different aspects. So for me, one of the most important elements of really any real estate agent's business is their website. And one of the challenges over the years has become websites have kind of become a commodity, right? It's like everybody's got a website. Heck, there's free websites you can probably go out and get these days, right? Or there's these, $29, $39, $49 websites that the problem with them is they look like everybody else's website, right? There's no way for a consumer to go online and have an experience with you, potentially, if you don't have a custom website that you can totally, represent your brand and how you do business. If you don't have that, you look just like everybody else online. You look like all the other agents in your office, or all the other agents in your brokerage, or potentially all the other agents that use that same service that you use. So our websites are 99% customizable. There's a couple of the lead capture components of the website. We kind of keep control of those so we can make sure the websites are converting visitors at a very high percentage. But everything else can be customized. The entire experience. If you wanted a video on your homepage, you can have a video on your homepage. If you wanted sliding imagery, you can have sliding imagery. If you wanted to build out a bunch of custom pages for all the communities that you service, we can help you do that. If you wanted to build a page for your builder, a special page for your lender, because your lender gives you money to advertise and drive leads, all of this stuff is doable on a Brivity custom website. Now, this is an example of one of our partners down in Prescott, Arizona. And that is not actually Travis Bard on that horse, but that's what Travis looks like. If you ever met the guy, if you met him on a Saturday, he still does rodeo. That's exactly what he'd look like. But, this represents him in his area. Here's another, this particular one right here, and this is a GIF, I guess you call it, right? And so this is Ryan Young in Cleveland, Ohio. And as we slide through here, the reason that I highlighted this one is he came to us, he's got this instant offer concept on his website. So here's his homepage. There's this Barbara Corcoran video endorsement that I'm sure he paid for, that he wants to make sure he's kind of promoting. But he's going to click get an instant offer. So Ryan came to us, I don't know, a year ago, a little more than a year ago, and said, hey guys, one of these new offer pad, open door, whatever these Zillow offers has come to my market. And I want to be able to, I've partnered with a company and I can actually do instant offers now. I've got a mechanism through which I can do these things, but I need my website to highlight that. So we got together with Ryan and we went to work helping him to figure out how to promote on his website this idea that Ryan had the ability to give instant offers, just like Zillow did, just like Open Door did. So we can, whatever we want to do on these things, whatever idea, whatever marketing campaign you're thinking about running, we can build pages and help you build pages, or you can build them really easily using the Brivity website editor. So it's a drag and drop interface where you can go in there and just whatever you want that thing to look like. Here's another example of an agent in Olympia, Washington. And so that home, kind of when this thing starts over, that top of his website is a really iconic photo of, I think it'll be right here in a second. It's that iconic photo of the Olympia Brewery. Here it is, which in this area, if you're from that area, you know these shots, right? You know when you get to this website who this guy is, what he represents, and again, whatever he wants that to be, we can bring it to life. So the website is really it's important. Before we get into this next piece, I had a guy one time come up to me, and we were at a conference, and obviously we're selling Brivity, and he said, I just don't know that I need a really great looking website in my business. And I said, okay, well, let's explore that a little bit. Why do you think that is? And he said, my business is mostly from referral. And I said, oh, that's awesome. How many transactions did you do last year? And he said, I did 38 transactions and 33 of them were referrals. And I said, that's fantastic. How many people were referred to you? And he's like, what do you mean? I said, well, how many of your friends, family, past clients, how many times do you think they said, hey, you should use Dan Spurlock, he's great? And he's like, well, I'm not sure. And I said, well, okay, so we're not sure how many were referred to you. We know 33 approached you, talked to you, reached out to you, and you helped those 33. But what if there was 70 people referred to you and only 33 of them decided to reach out? And he's like, I'm not following. What do you mean? I said, well, what do you think they do when somebody refers you? And he's like, I don't know. I said, I bet they Google you. You think they Google you? And he's like, yeah, they probably do. I said, yeah, they probably do, right? Because I Google the restaurant I'm going to go to. If one of my friends says, hey, you should go to that new sushi joint down the street, I'm Googling to see, is my $70 going to be well spent? These people are about to put their biggest financial, transaction into play in their entire lives. To think they don't go look us up and try to get a feel for who we are and how we're different than, the two other agents they got referred to. They are Googling you. So we went that day and we Googled that guy, and he had a couple different websites. He had an old Playster website that looked like 180,000 other agents in the United States, right? He had a website that he had tried to build on like a Wix or something. I asked him, I said, look, is this the representation? And if your website is not top notch, if it doesn't look like a consumer can say, this thing was built in 2020, here's the value proposition these people deliver to me. I can see all the listing. Like, if all those boxes aren't checked, you might actually be harming your business by not having a website that really represents who you are and how you do business. Now, but we need fuel for that website. We need fuel for that database. So we have spent the last, about 10 months, and about 2 months ago, a month and a half ago, we released what we're calling Brivity Connect, which is kind of the the digital ad program that goes with the Brivity platform. And so here's why we did it. There's some problems in real estate lead generation. Consumers don't remember where they visited or how you got their info, right? They don't know what website they were on. I can't, guys, I used to call a lot of leads. I can't tell you how many times leads would say, oh, yeah, I don't know, I was just clicking around. And I'm like, what? Where were you clicking around? And they're like, I don't know, I was on a website and then I saw this thing and I clicked on it and I ended up on your site. People don't know often like where they are, or when they get somewhere, they don't know how to get back there, right? They don't remember your website URL. So they don't remember where they visited, how we got their info, and they don't remember how to get back there. They don't know why you're contacting them. It could be that, they were thinking about real estate today, and then a little bit later they were thinking about car insurance, and then, the next day. And look, the reality is you probably don't call them for 2 or 3 days, right? Many of us don't have time to just call every single person that comes into our world right away. So by the time we get them on the phone, they don't really know why we're contacting them. Now, a great script can get us past that, but right behind that is they don't know who we are. Sure, they were on our website. Sure, they gave us their name and their email and their phone number, maybe, right? Or maybe we went and tracked that information down, but they don't know who we are, right? We could be one of, they might have filled out 6 forms on 6 different websites that day. There's nothing differentiating us from that next agent. They don't care who you are, okay? Not only do they not know who you are, once they now know because you tell them, they don't care. And the reason they don't care is they're not ready today, right? They're not ready today to buy, sell, or invest. We've been doing this a long time. 19 years I've been doing internet lead generation. We were one of the first people to take a feed from the Northwest MLS in Seattle. For 19 years, we've been trying to figure out how do we get people in the database who are closer to doing something, right? Sure, I'd love to get that guy into my database, and we do, he's not going to buy or sell for 9 months, 12 months, 18 months, right? And if we can stay in front of him and work him over a long period of time, he might do that with us. But they're not ready today. Most of the time when they first come into our world, they're not ready today. So, and then those problems that consumers have create problems for us as agents working internet leads, working our open house leads, or working our database. So here's the problem. Whoa, my goodness. Oh, that was interesting. I'm so sorry. My deal got stuck. All right. We don't know whether their intent is to buy, sell, or invest. We just got this lead, right? We don't know much about their intention coming in the door. We don't know about their needs and wants. Sometimes, if we're really lucky, we will get a lead where we can see like what property they were looking at. Sometimes, though, we'll get leads and we don't even know what they were doing, right? A lot of folks that are running ads on Facebook these days, you don't know. Somebody filled out a form and you've got 4 ads in play and you're like, geez, I don't even know what property this person came from, right? We're forced to make cold calls because they don't recognize us or our brand. Look, they were on our website yesterday and we're calling them, but they've been on 3 other websites since then. Life's happened since then. And when we call them, it is a cold call. It's a warm lead, but it's a cold call, right? They don't recognize us or our brand. They don't come back to our website because they came there. They didn't even know where they were at. They landed on it. They leave. The chance of them coming back, slim and none. Slim and none, right? And then we don't convert enough of our old leads. Is there anybody in this room right now that has old leads? Anybody that has old leads, you paid for them, you spent the effort to go out and do the open house, you got them in the database, they've just been kind of laying around in there for a while. We don't convert enough of those old leads. And when we realize that, the average consumer goes on the internet 9 to 12 months before they're actually going to initiate a transaction, our old leads might actually be our best leads, but we don't convert enough of those old leads. Okay. And so what this leads to is just frustration with your agents. The consumers don't get a great experience, but what would it be like if we could target specific individuals who are ready to buy, sell, and invest, right? What about instead of just showing them properties on your website, we continue to follow them around the internet after they left on their phone and their Facebooks, on the Instagrams, with those same properties they were looking at on your website? What if whenever they searched online, we were there? Whenever they were on CNN, we were there. Whenever they were on, I don't care if they watch Fox News or go to Fox News or go to MSNBC, We'll be there if they lean left or they lean right, right? That'd be pretty cool. What if all of our old leads, our past clients, our sphere, like what if everybody in our database always kind of had us top of mind? What if they didn't even know why they had us top of mind? We were just there. What if sellers in your area just kind of saw you everywhere? What if the people in your database who were thinking about selling, everywhere they looked, you were there? What if they were thinking to themselves, this guy, Carol Lopez and Billy Hartman, they must spend $1 million on advertising. They have to. They're on CNN. And everywhere else I go, they're there too. Okay, so we built that. We call it Brivity Connect. It's an aspect of the Brivity platform. Here's Phil Slezak. In his first 20 days, he had 148 leads. 9 of those leads have been hot, 15 nurtures, and 14 watches. In the first 20 days, they've been able to connect with 25% of their leads. That's a lot. We've been doing this a long time. To get 25 people that became a hot watch or nurture for him, okay, including 5 buyer's agency agreements signed in the first 20 days with his Brivity Connect leads. And his cost per lead was over 50% less than he was spending before. Ben doesn't like me to, I know where Phil came from. Sync. It's cheaper for him. Not only are the leads better, the leads are cheaper. Okay, Jacqueline, they're every dollar they spend on this, they're getting $10 back. And here's the thing, it's early. Some of those people are going to turn into dollars later. It's real early. They're 4 months into this, and every dollar is turning into 10. Give them another 4 months, every dollar is going to be turning into 15 or 20. I bring Ken's testimonial here because if you've ever had agents on your team or you're one of these people who go, God, these leads stink, man. These leads are garbage. Ken's team, right away, his agents were thanking him for not just the volume of leads, but that the leads were good. This is Jeff Ellert in Las Vegas. They've been doing this for a couple months now. Right now, they're averaging 4 closings a month. His comment, which I didn't include on here, it's snowballing, he said. This is snowballing, and you'll see why this is snowballing. Here's what happens on a normal lead. The bottom is a normal lead. In most of your worlds, if we're being honest with ourselves, right? This thing comes into our database. Maybe they came to our open house. Maybe they, maybe they were an internet lead. Maybe they called in about one of our listings, right? And we hit them a few times over the lifespan between now when they came into our world and when they're going to buy a house. Okay, maybe we called them once. Maybe we got a listing alert to keep sending them properties. Maybe there was an email plan or something applied to this lead, right? But the reality is we touch them way too infrequently over the course of 9 months, if that's how long their journey is going to be. And we don't know, right? We don't know if their journey is going to be, they're going to buy in the next 2 weeks or 9 months from now. But we don't touch them very often. The top is what a Brivity engaged lead looks like. Right? It's got listing alerts. We've got a dialer, so you're in there calling constantly. We've got auto emails and texts that are going out to try to warm this person up. There's market reports. And then we do this dynamic property retargeting and display ad retargeting. We're getting every day multiple impressions on that person's brain with your brand and your name. And then beyond that, when a lead first comes in, that's what you get on the left from most of the other folks, right? Name, email, maybe a phone number. Maybe if you're lucky, you get like a property they looked at. Brivity Connect leads have name, email, phone, time frame, and then intent questions. We can ask as many questions as you want to ask. Now, when we do that, the cost of those leads will creep up. Basically, every question we ask is another dollar tacked on to how much that lead might cost you. So you go from having a lead that costs you $3 a lead to $4 a lead, but you can ask an intent-based question. An intent-based question might be something like, do you have a house to sell? It'd be a real obvious one that a lot of our folks will use, right? We want to see that buyer lead that's looking at properties when they come in. Can we identify, are they a seller also? And we can ask these intent-based questions. And then we can see what properties they viewed, and we can see when they get driven back. And this is really a really big deal. So increased lead volume, qualified engaged leads, faster conversion times, or easier conversions because, and we'll show you this in a minute here, we're floating the really important stuff to the top. You have more motivated agents potentially, or maybe you. Anna, are just more motivated, right? You know, man, when I get in there today and I call those people, Brivity's floating to the top for me, I know these are the most engaged people in my database, the people most willing to have a conversation with me, and they're going to know who I am, right? We can have smarter communication. We can have a massive amount of traffic build up on your website. So you and your team always have opportunities of people to go and try to, get into one of those buyer's agency agreements like Phil was mentioning earlier. And it's managed on your behalf by experts. So here's kind of what a lead looks like. And we use Facebook because, I'm kind of showing you this example, or this is what an ad looks like, because they're kind of the 800-pound gorilla in the advertising world. But we're running these ads in lots of different arenas. Okay, this particular one is Jeff Ellert. This is the guy in Vegas that said they're closing 4 deals a month right now, which is adding 20,000 in GCI to his bottom line based on Vegas's average prices. We are targeting a very specific sort of buyer for him. This is a Henderson Homes for sale with a private pool between 500 and $1 million. The reason we're running this particular campaign for him, and by the way, we customize every single campaign to your market and the types of buyers and sellers that you'd like to go after. In Vegas right now, there's a lot of people that live in like these HOA areas where they have a shared pool, and those pools are closed. And what Jeff has started to see in his business is people who live in those areas, well, they want to go buy a little bit further out in Hendersonville, or in Henderson, right? Like the neighboring town, and they want their own pool. And so we are targeting what's happening in his market right now with some very specific ad sets. Now, if somebody was to click on one of those properties, they go, ooh, I like that, let me learn more, right? We're going to grab their information from Facebook, from Instagram, from wherever that ad, sometimes it's a Google environment, and Google knows a bunch about you, right? So they give us the email, and a lot of times the phone number right there. Okay, it's just being pulled in. About 75% of the leads we've seen to date, Facebook actually has their phone number on file, which was shocking to me until I realized, oh wait, Facebook has my number on file. How did that even happen? I don't remember giving Facebook my phone number, right? But it's really easy. They just click, their information's there. They just go, yep, I want to see all the photos. This is the magic sauce, guys. Nobody else is doing this. We can take them from wherever that ad was shown to them. And when they click on that ad, we can push them through to your website logged in. Immediately when they hit the website, they have an account created already, and they are logged into that account. And that's a game changer. We spent months working with some of these big advertising platforms to make this happen, right? It's all this, we built a whole, we call this thing Zach, but it's this system that zealously and accurately checks houses, but it's basically connecting all of our advertising assets. And the biggest asset is your website, because that's ultimately where we're driving them logged in. I can't overstate how big of a deal this is, because, and we get lower cost, higher quality, right? We'll circle back to why that's such a big deal here in a second. Facebook carousel ads, this is a targeted to a specific audience. Has anybody in here seen The Social Dilemma? It was a documentary on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, it's equal parts scary and fascinating, I think. It's scary because it basically, after watching it, you're like, oh my God, Facebook and Google and then these app networks, they know everything about me, and they can actually influence my behavior, which is a little bit scary. But the other side of it, which is maybe the fascinating side for me, and I think I always knew this, but they really crystallized it for me. These things, Google, and let's just take Google and Facebook. They're the two behemoths, right? They are 100% designed to extract advertising dollars from advertisers. That is their only purpose, right? They have some other stated purposes, like Facebook says connect the world, right? But what they really want is advertisers to put ads up, and then Facebook is ridiculously good. Google is ridiculously good at putting the right ad in front of the right person. In 2016, as real estate agents, we used to be able to target things like demographics, nationalities, age, right? Like we could say, I just want to run ads to this certain demographic. Facebook was actually giving us the tools for us to like hang ourselves via a DOJ lawsuit for a fair housing violation. Now, Facebook has shut that down, right? They actually have a special ad category now for housing, which when you put your ads in that in that category, it kind of shuts down your ability to target things like age, and because that would be a violation of the Fair Housing Act. But when you realize Facebook and Google are specifically designed to get your ad in front of the person who's most likely to click on it, it's a really big deal, right? Let's say you have two people. One person, every time they're scrolling through their Facebook feed, they slow down when there's a real estate ad. They don't click on it, they just slow down. Maybe it's one of your carousel ads and they look at a few of them, they don't click on any of them, and then they move on. And then there's another person, when your ad passes, they just scroll right by your ad. Who's Facebook more likely to serve that ad up to next time? Yeah, the guy that slowed down, right? The lady that was doing this one on you shouldn't click on it, but Facebook immediately, the algorithm is so powerful, it goes, hey, this lady right here, right? Then it starts falling over on Instagram. Google will get wind of this probably because they're in a Chrome browser or something, right? Then Google will start serving ads up to them in their Gmail, right? These app networks will get wind. All of a sudden, they'll start getting ads when they're on CNN or when they're playing Candy Crush, right? The targeting that we can start with is going to get your ad in front of the most relevant person, because that's literally how these ad platforms are designed. Facebook is an ad platform. Don't kid yourself, right? Google's an ad platform. Now, over time, what we can do is we actually help them get better at this, because we can take, we call it high intent activities, right? So somebody, like you might have 100 visitors on your website. We're not going to create a lookalike audience out of all 100. We're going to create a lookalike audience out of the people that set up a home search or the people that favorited a property. And over a little bit of time, as we collect data on your website, we then say, look, and this is all anonymous, by the way, right? But we go back to Facebook and we go, hey, we have 100 people right here that did a search and favorited a property on this person's website. Can you go find us more people like these people? And we create these lookalike audiences where we serve back to these ad platforms the type of customer, right? Here they are. We don't know who they are. We just know 100 people did this thing. I mean, like, we know like they have an email and a name, but when we're sending them up, it's just data, right? We're like, here's a bunch of people. Go find us more people like this. And Facebook knows everything about us. Google knows most about us. In fact, I have a Google speaker in my house. There was like a Fritz on Google yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw this. Gmail was down for a little while. It's like my Google speaker just started talking to me. I wasn't talking to it. It just started talking to me. Like, it's listening to us, guys. But we can leverage that, right? We can leverage that to find better leads, to engage with them better, right? We can capture them on all these different things. We can even take your existing database and we can re-engage them with ads. The dynamic property targeting, what this means is they came into your website today. We generated them as a lead today. And let's say they looked at a property in Bellingham at 400,000. When they leave, we start following them around with properties similar to that one. We're like, hey, here's 5 properties in Bellingham between 380 and 420,000. You like these? No? Well, here's 4 more. You like these ones? And we just dynamically target them based on what they were looking at on your website. We're constantly feeding that information back to these places, Google and Facebook, right? We've got these syncs where we're just saying, here's what's happening here. Can you please find these people and follow them around? And then we follow them everywhere. We call this the Brivity Display Network. These are branding campaigns. They're targeted brand saturation. Again, it doesn't matter if they're on the Wall Street Journal or CNN or Fox News or Forbes or ESPN or wherever they go online, on all the apps that they're doing, right? I don't know, does anybody play Candy Crush? You got to wait, 15 seconds in between games, and they pop an ad up. We are kind of assaulting their senses with your brand, right? We want, and this happens, we want them to pick the phone up when you call and go, oh, no, I know who you guys are. I see you everywhere. Because they do. And to them, they think this, Billy Hartman is advertising all over the place. This guy is no, we're just advertising to that one individual all over the place on behalf of Billy. Here's some of those examples here of an ad from Bob Wall-Smith, or here's the Ben Kinney team up on the Wall Street Journal, right? Now, listing alerts and market reports, these are 2 functions of the Brivity platform, our ability to send out new listings to leads. or the ability to send a market report of what's happening in a certain area. Maybe it's an area they want to buy into, or maybe it's the area that they currently own a home. This is just some website traffic. I don't know how many of you guys have had 1,900 people on your website in the last 30 days, but that's a lot of opportunities for this team. This team doubled their website traffic overnight through the Brivity Connect. And then we help you convert them, right? We've got leads being nurtured on auto plan. So that lead comes in, there's an auto plan in place, fires out, kicks off. Do you have to write these yourself? No. Can you? Yes. They're customizable, but we've got some really powerful ones, including we give you the Ben Kinney team 10 days of pain. That's the plan that you see right here. And we've got different versions of it. This is the Facebook version of it. There's a Zillow version of the 10 days of pain, or a website version if they just straight came to your website. Connects on your dashboard, better data immediately. The reason I have this slide in here is look what happened here. This person originally came in at 9:18 on our website. 4 hours later, our advertising had kicked in and it drove them back. This is very uncommon behavior. Most consumers come to your website, maybe they look at a property and they leave and they don't even know where to go back to. They've forgotten your URL. We make sure they're not going to forget you, they're not going to forget your website, and they're not going to forget the path to get back to look at those properties. Warmer calls, easier conversions. All right, now, you can do leads with us, or maybe you have leads coming from somewhere else. Zillow, Realtor.com would be two great examples. Dave Ramsey, it doesn't matter where your leads are coming from, we can bring them all into Brivity. We have virtual tools. The reason I put this in here, it's an example of what it means to work with a company that is eating their own dog food. That's what we like to call it around here. We eat our own dog food. Ben Kinney, our founder, he is operating a business on Brivity. So when March of this year happened, Washington State got shut down. I think it was March 13th. Overnight, we lost a major leg of our stool. Right? We talked about our lead gen stool before. Open house is a major leg of our stool. We went from being able to do them to the next day not being able to do them. And we couldn't do them for March to July. Immediately, we went into action. Ben was like, all the developers on this project, we got to build virtual tools on the website, not just for Ben's business, but for every Brivity client. Half of our states at that point were shut down or would be in the next couple of weeks or months from doing open houses. Right? So we've got virtual tools. They can do virtual showings. They can request a virtual showing. We can do virtual open houses, host virtual open houses with landing pages that we can drive people to register for an open house that's going to happen at some point in the future virtually. We've got these safety pages we created. But the reason that I show you this, look, this is one tool inside the platform, right? Your websites have these virtual options. But this is indicative of we operate in the same way you guys do, right? Like we're in the business. We're not a title company that's trying to hope you do title business with us and we own a platform, right? We're not institutional investors. Like we're boots on the ground real estate agents. We've got open house registration pages. So when we are all able to do those again, which we were from July up until about a week or two ago here in Washington anyway, right? We've got a mechanism in Brivity where you can pull out your laptop or an iPad and you can create open house registration pages that when somebody walks into your open house and you get them to fill out the form, just pipes it right into the database automatically. We could get a listing alert set up for them automatically, and it will. Auto plan could fire on that lead automatically, and 2 hours later, they could get a text from you that says, hey, thanks so much for dropping by our open house. Just curious if you guys had any questions after thinking about it for a little while, right? They respond, awesome, I'm into a conversation with them. If they don't, 15 minutes later, we send a text that says, hey, I forgot to ask you. I made a promise to the sellers that I would ask everybody that came through, did you guys want to make an offer on this house? If they don't respond an hour later, hey, this is Jim, right? I hope I don't have the wrong number. You came to our open house. That auto plan is set to engage them, and all I had to do is get them to sign the form when they came into my open house. We've got all kinds of seller lead capture options, right? These pages that are baked into your website. You can create as many versions of these pages as you want by easily duplicating them. So we've got, a seller lead capture page for Bellingham. What's your Bellingham home worth? We've got one for Ferndale. What's your Ferndale home? Blaine, Linden, right? We've got one for the entire county if we're running some more widespread advertising. What's your Whatcom County home worth? Home prices are up X% in Whatcom County. See what your house is worth. Quickly is our text-based mobile lead strategy. Basically, you get a keyword. That keyword ties into the MLS, and somebody can text that keyword to a short code, and they get information about any property for sale in the MLS. Not just yours, by the way, any property. But we use these on our signs as a writer. It's a very particular style and way that we actually execute this, and we give you guys all those designs. When somebody drives by and texts, real estate info in this case, or Ben Kinney's team is Ben Kinney, right? When they text Ben Kinney to 59559, they get a response on their phone that basically says, reply with the address of the property you're interested in, or click here for the nearest listing. But even if they don't do those things, they don't identify the property they were standing out in front of or driving by, we still have their cell phone number. You still get a lead right away. Right now, I don't know, 85% of the time they come in with the property they were looking at, right? What property they were standing in front of. This would be as if you're not going to use flyers anymore, by the way. I don't know what your cost in a monthly basis for flyers, probably not too much, right? But another little cost we can knock off. This would be as if every person that walked by and grabbed our flyer, we could be like, hey, what's your cell phone number? In fact, you can't get this flyer without your cell phone number. Give it to me, please. These are some of the best leads in real estate. My mom is a real estate agent, you guys. They take 1 in 13 of their quickly leads, right? People that were out in front of their properties and texting in about them. 1 in 13 of those, they turn into a contract in the first 30 days. And 1 in 4 of those contracts, by the way, is a seller. Somebody that lived in the neighborhood. Yeah, it's a real number, James. I love that. I mentioned earlier, I've been doing this for 19 years. I remember as clear as it was yesterday, the first time Bill Gates registered on my website. And we did real estate in Bellevue, Washington. So Redmond, where Microsoft is, right next door. I mean, I could almost throw a rock to Redmond's campus from our office. So when Bill Gates came in, I was like, oh my God, we got Bill Gates on our website. And my partner, Jonathan, was like, you fool. There's not Bill Gates. Like, he's going to sign up on our website all the time. So is Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and, Get Lost or whoever, right? We've never had a fake quick lead. It's impossible. It's literally the phone number of the person who texted in to get information about that property. I love quickly. There's a whole nother aspect of quickly for events. If you do events, there's a massively powerful strategy utilizing texting at events. Auto plans, right? These are going to be something comes into our world and we can trigger automatically a plan to say, look, where'd that thing come from? Oh, it came from our website. It's a buyer. Cool. Fire this plan. Came from Zillow. It's a potential seller. Fire that plan. And we have all these plans. We give you every plan we use in Ben Kinney's business. It forces us to get innovative and keep iterating to make our plans better in his actual, in his sales business. We give them all away on Brivity. Texts, emails, and then tasks for you guys to go out and do something. Generally, those tasks are like call or get your listing alerts and your market reports set up, right? But we've been pretty good at this. Our favorite text, we got this text at the end of our 10 days of pain that says, I love texting, you hate replying. Just wanted to let you know I'm going to keep following up until I hear something's changed about your situation. That text gets a massive amount of response. People laugh at it. Ha ha, yeah, I've totally been ignoring you. Right? We're just not quite ready yet. And that's okay, right? So a bunch of these tools will help us to make sure that we're there when they are ready. We can share these auto plans between accounts. So we share them with you guys, but you can share them amongst yourselves. We have 2,500 top teams in Brivity. Somebody's built a plan for that thing that you're trying to target. We've got listing alerts. One of the things we do in listing alerts, look, somebody might be doing it now, but when we first started doing this, nobody else was doing it. We ask every time we send a listing alert, we say, hey, do you need to know what your house is worth? Because most of the buyers that we have, they own something else. And a high percentage of those people are going to sell that something else, right? So we're constantly taking the temperature of your buyer leads to say, hey, are you a seller maybe? Market reports, easily the most open thing we've ever sent in 19 years of doing this. The open rates on our market reports are staggering. They're about 4x the industry open rates just on email that gets sent in real estate. I always bring my mom up because I'm very intimately familiar with her business. She loves these things. Granted, on a database of 5,000 people, she has 4,000 market reports going out. But every single month, she gets somebody respond to her market report who says, Gail, thanks so much. You've been sending me this for 6 months. I think we're ready to talk about selling our house. We've noticed a couple of houses in our neighborhood that have sold for, a really good price. And we're just curious if you think we could get as much as they got. These market reports are designed to deliver to people either based on an area around their home, right, a radius, or we can draw on a map, or we can just identify a city or a zip code. And it's just going to show them, here's everything active, here's all the pendings, and here's all the solds, including the price that they sold for, and then all the photos, right? So if somebody sees their neighbor's house sell, they can see it listed for $450. It's sold in our market. If you list the house at $450, it sells for $500, right? And then they can see the photos. So they can identify like, ooh, could I get $500? No, they've remodeled their house. Mine's still kind of dumpy inside, right? I probably won't get as much. Market reports. I love these things. Look, you guys don't operate your business from a computer sitting in front of a monitor all day long at your desk. You're on the go. So we've got an app that you can take on the go with you to work your database while you're moving. We've got a dialer that can allow you to make a high volume of calls. I do this math. If it takes you 15 seconds, okay, 15 seconds in between phone calls, if I wasn't using a dialer, and I can eliminate just that 15 seconds of hang up and dial time, right? On our teams, we make 50 dials into it's a requirement that every person on one of Ben Kinney's teams dials 50 times into the database every day, Monday through Friday. Okay? So that means, and the math gets a little bit tricky. I should have used easier numbers. But so every 4 dials, I'm losing a minute. So every 50 dials, I'm losing about 12 minutes, which means if we do this 5 days a week, 5 times 12 is 60. I've lost an hour in my week, simply 15 seconds at a time. What if I could spend another hour dialing? Like, we don't think about these micro, this compounding. You don't think about these compounding things very often, but we obsess over them. We obsess over how can we save you 15 seconds, right? If you're somebody that likes to make a high volume of calls in your database, 15 seconds at a time, over a course of a month, it's 4 hours for our team just when they're making $50. A lot of our people make more than 50. Who needs 4 hours a month back? I know what I'd do with that 4 hours. Look, you have 2 options. You can invest it back into your business, or you can go spend it with people you love, right? Many of us are probably going to split the difference. A little bit back into the business, a little bit more time with my kids. I got 2 young kids that I'd love to spend an extra 2 hours a month with. CMAs. So eventually somebody says on that market report, hey, I like what I saw my neighbor's house sell for. You think I can get that? And I say, I'm not sure. Let us put together a CMA for your house. And we've got a CMA tool that pulls your data out of your MLS, and you can go in there and create a CMA. These things, tops are going to take you maybe 15 minutes or something, right? All the data's in there. We're helping you analyze it. You're picking the 5 actives, 5 pendings, and 5 solds that we're going to use as comps. Transaction. So we can automate transactions. We have one lady, her name's Olivia. She is a superstar. Don't get me wrong. She in 2020, she will end up managing over 1,000 transactions in Washington State for us. Ben has a number of teams in Washington State, one in Bellingham, one in Everett, one in Seattle, one in Olympia. We don't manage the transactions for the team in Vancouver. I think they manage their own. But those first 4 locations I mentioned, they'll do about 1,000 transactions this year. Olivia will manage 1,000 transactions. Now, she's got VAs that come into her business when she's getting swamped and needed. And a lot of the executable things inside of a transaction, we actually have VAs do. But Brivity is the system that keeps all of this in order, right? We've got these transaction auto plans. So transaction auto plans, we can automate certain elements of a transaction and send texts and emails around those elements, or just have tasks set for us to do things. I don't know how you manage your transactions, but here's what happens in a growing business, right? Or when you get like to max capacity, Anna or Joe, what happens is something starts to slip, right? A lot of times, based on NAR's profile of home buyer and sellers, we read this thing every year. It's like the Bible for us. One of the things that slips when we get maxed out is our communication with our clients, right? So we can automate things. Here's a big example of something you could automate in there. We could have an automatic text message go out to our buyer one day before the inspection date. And it could just say, hey, just want to remind you the inspection on your guy's house is set for tomorrow at 1 o'clock. That could be automated. We have, even though Olivia's managing 1,000 transactions, all of our clients think like they're getting this super special service with these it's automation. We've just gotten really good at leveraging and building a system around how we do transactions. And the reason we did that is because as your business grows or you get stretched thin, the first thing that tends to fall off is the service to our clients, right? So our clients know everything that's happening. All the stuff inside of our transactions, there's a portal they can log into to see everything we've done so far on their transaction. If you go look at the reviews for the Ben Kinney team, like on Zillow, for example, a lot of the reviews say stuff like, they kept me up to date every step of the way. I always knew what was going on, right? We never have people come back to us and say, yeah, well, I'd like to renegotiate my commission. Like, you guys sold my house really fast, and I just don't think I need to pay 3%, because we're showing them all the work that goes in, not just to helping them find the house or find the seller, but actually closing that thing. We've got a system for postcards. We call it Brivity Marketer. You can do, it's AI-based, artificial intelligence. We use artificial intelligence. If you have a new listing, first off, we build the campaigns automatically. Just listed, just sold. So you kind of set up some templates, and every time you take a new listing, we have a postcard campaign ready to go for you. Now you can choose to send it or not, and there's a cost, somewhere between 59 cents per postcard. That's the smaller ones, but that's postage, all the way into their first class USPS. And the really big ones are like $1.09 or something. But what we do is we don't just, let's say you say, I'm going to send 300 postcards out of this house I just sold. I want to let all the neighbors know I sold this house. We don't send it to every neighbor, like the closest 300 neighbors. In fact, if their next door neighbor had just bought their house 3 months ago, we're not going to send him the postcard, because he's not selling anytime soon. We're going to send it to the person who bought their house 7 years ago, right? Who might be thinking about selling their house now. So we use this AI, this algorithm, to go out and target the best properties for your postcard to land at, right? The best neighbors that should know about your successes. We've got a thing called Brivity Designer. It's basically like Canva, where you can create not just a design, but we relay the design out in hundreds of different sizes and variations, so that you've got it for Instagram or Facebook, or your Facebook cover photo, or your email signature. You want to do a postcard out of it, or maybe you want to, whatever you want, a door hanger. Like, we lay it out in tens, or even in some cases hundreds of different variations of that design. We've got virtual assistants if you ever needed help in your business. And by the way, the virtual assistants come trained on Brivity. We spend every virtual assistant that comes into our world, they get an extensive 2-week boot camp training on how to use Brivity. So when you get a VA, you're going to train them on your business and how you operate, but they're going to know the system that you use to operate. We've got a coaching division of our company called Forward Coaching, lots of help and training. And then we've got plans that go from light to mega. Okay. And the pricing on here on the low end is going to be, I'm not a salesperson, even though I kind of play one on TV. I think our light package starts at $249. And then as your team is bigger and larger, those price points go up. Yeah, $249. Thank you, James. So here's the deal. You spent an hour here with me. Something has had you think, I don't know what it is, right? Maybe it's that time of year and you're really plotting and planning for 2021. Maybe you guys have come across Brivity before, and you've heard some people in your maybe in your office has it, and they've been talking about it. You want to see what this thing was all about. You just spent an hour with me. You have a pretty darn good idea what it's all about. The next step would be to get in and drive through it. Let one of our people, James or Kyler or Angela, one of our folks, go through with you and talk about this specific to your business, right? Let you ask questions. Let you see the website. Let you dig around in the CRM. Let you see what a market report looks like, okay? If you want to take that next step, just pull your phone out right now and text platform to 59559. So I want you to pull up, you're going to send a message to the number 59559, and the body of that message, you're just going to type the word platform. We'll do a one-on-one demo with you. You can take a look behind the scenes. You can talk about pricing based on the size of your team or kind of where you guys are at, what's important to you. Our goal is to help you guys build systems and models in your business that create leverage so that you can have a better year in 2021 than you had in 2020 without sacrificing all your time. right? Because unless you find leverage and unless you have systems and models, the only way you're going to grow your business is to spend more time on it. And I think, look, coming out of this crazy year, I think a lot of us are going to want to be spending time with like our loved ones when we can finally go see them all again and without feeling weird, right? So that's the Brivity platform. We wrapped in a little bit of what we call Brivity Connect, which is the lead component of the Brivity platform. And if you guys have any questions or you'd like to get a look behind the scenes, go ahead and text platform to 59559. I will give us the last 4 minutes here. If anybody, Dan or Billy or Anna or Joe, or there's other people in here I haven't been, because they were scrolled down. Steven, Sanjay, Sarah, if any of you guys, Samantha, if any of you guys have a question, John, fire that into the chat right now. And I'll kind of hang out here and let you guys, I bet half of you have like taken your headphones out. You're not even at your computer anymore. You're like on Facebook right now. But okay, cool. So Anna, James will get you taken care of. It doesn't have AI, Dan. You know, Ben Kinney owns 2 AI companies. We've just never, so we have the auto plans, right? Which like engage and reach out and just continue to reach out. And when that person replies, then you kind of step in and take over. We've just never gotten comfortable with the answers we get from AI. They seem like AI. They seem like a robot, right? You can tell they pop up with options, right? Like, what do you want to do? Buy, sell, or invest? Like, we have 2 companies that we've bought. Automobots would be the first one we bought. Ben has never felt comfortable with that replacing his agents, really, right? Now we've got the auto plan, so we're getting massive coverage on our leads anyway and lots of communication. But we think when a real person responds and says, hey, I'm a real person, they are best met with another real person. Great question. All right. I appreciate you guys all being here. Thanks for spending the last 58 minutes with me today. Reach out if you need anything. You can always email me. I'm bob@benkinney.com. More than happy to answer any questions. Here's my cell phone, 408-638-1834. Again, 408-638-1834. If you wanted to drill me, ask me the tough questions they didn't feel like asking on here, call, email, text platform to 59559, and James or one of our friends can take care of you guys. Have a fantastic rest of your week, an awesome weekend. And on behalf of Samantha and Mikey, who helped you guys show up today, you might not even know it, my name is Bob Stewart. Thanks, James, for being here, buddy. Appreciate you. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.